Anthony, repeat after me. Nothing could be finer.
Nothing could be finer
than to be in Carolina.
For a Panthers football game.
Nothing could be finer than to be in Carolina for a Panthers football game.
What we have for you is a guide to all of the playoff scenarios that affect the Commanders and kind of a guide throughout the day as we all wait for Sunday night. That's what Carrie Underwood told me, Anthony. Everyone's waiting all day for Sunday night. I don't know if you've heard that before.
Sunday night.
Yeah, that's correct. That is very good, Anthony. I'm glad that you followed along there. Excellent work out of you. Okay, so here's what we got. We have the Commanders keeping an eye first on Bucks-Panthers. Bucks-Panthers, which, by the way, the Falcons also have a very keen eye on because the Falcons, with a Bucks loss, I believe, clinched the NFC South. I believe that going into the final weekend, the Falcons have the tiebreaker over Tampa, which they do.
Yeah,
They swept them. So head-to-head, you get that. That's always the first tiebreaker. And that would thus eliminate the Bucks from actually, no, I shouldn't say it eliminates the Bucks from the playoffs because if Atlanta then wins and Washington loses in Week 18 and Tampa wins in Week 18, I think that could be a situation where actually, no, I think the Bucks have to win out and the Washington has to lose out. And then the Bucks and Commanders would be tied. And then because Tampa beat Washington in Week 1, all the way back then, it still counts, and Tampa would win the tiebreaker over Washington. But that would involve Washington losing out, Tampa winning out. But if the Bucks lose or tie, the Commanders clinch a playoff spot. So, again, by the time Bucks-Panthers ends, go Bryce Young, first team. And actually, Anthony, I'm extra qualified for this because I grew up in the Carolinas rooting for the Carolina Panthers. Now, I'm just an objective journalist. Now, I have no rooting interest at all. And to the extent that I have rooting interest, it's for the Commanders because, well, it's way more fun when they win to do my job, and I'm self-interested in that way. But if I need to dip back into my roots here, it'd be funner than to be in Carolina for a Panthers football game. It's the fight song down there.
I think that will be the first and last time I ever do that.
I mean, don't say last. It could happen again next year.
Uh-oh.
You never know. I mean, here's what we do know. Bryce Young, keep doing your thing. The good thing, not the bad thing. And you beat Baker Mayfield and the Bucks, who, by the way, just lost on Sunday Night Football to the Cowboys, who, by the way, their defense has been a mess since Antoine Winfield went out. They can't stop anything. The Commanders win. They're in the playoffs. Or the Commanders don't even have to win. They're in the playoffs. Nothing could be finer than to be in Carolina. Okay, people get it. 425. There's only 2 games at 425, by the way, this week. The Cowboys-Eagles got flexed out. Vikings-Packers got flexed in. Packers lose. Then the Commanders are in control of the 6th seed. With the 6th seed, the Commanders would be set to play the 3rd-seeded Los Angeles Rams, assuming that the Rams do their what they need to do and close out and win the NFC West. So that would mean instead of either Philadelphia, Detroit, or Minnesota in the first round, likely at this point Philadelphia, because Detroit and Minnesota are tied with a 1-game lead over the Eagles for the 2 seed. So instead of a third matchup against the Eagles in Philadelphia on Wild Card Weekend, that would mean a trip to Los Angeles instead. Homecoming for Jayden Daniels against a much more hit-or-miss team. One that you're unfamiliar with, but the Rams, anything can happen on any given weekend. So that's what's at stake there. And again, you want the Packers to lose. Also, for entertainment purposes, if the Vikings win and the Lions win, it is Vikings-Lions, Week 18 for the 1 seed. So for good football purposes, just for pure interest level, hey, can we get more meaningful games in Week 18 when a lot of the playoffs will have already been decided? and the only thing up for grabs is seeding. Let's get one more interesting game on the schedule. Anthony, cheering guide, ready? Hands out, wide. Now you're going to bring it? No. Like wide. I know you can't really see my hands. Yeah, no, like full wingspan. Pretend like, remember that Michael Jordan poster that was in Barcelona? Yeah, we need like that kind of wingspan. And then you're going to bring your hands over your head together and clap. And when you do that, you're going to go, skull. Yeah, that's skull. And it gets faster. Skull. Yeah, that's what we're going to be doing all 425. Yeah, that was a lot out of you. Anthony really got into that there for those that's on the radio. He lost control of his face.
Yes, sir.
I can't wait to show you that video back later. You looked like an absolute
I probably did look crazy.
Yeah, you definitely did. So that is what we're doing. 425 on Sunday. Your cheeseheads, put them away. Let's go Vikings on the road at Lambeau. And then the Commanders are in control. Of course, that means they need to win Sunday night against Atlanta, and they need to win in Week 18 against the Cowboys, the now seeding lambless Cowboys. But that they are in control of that. They win. They'd end the season, by the way, on a 5-game winning streak. And then they would be the 6th seed and go to LA to see Sean and the Rams. As for the number 2 seed and the NFC East, by the way, the Commanders are looking for a Cowboys win over the Eagles. And I know this feels far-fetched because it's going to take Washington winning out and the Eagles losing out. But if that happens, and this weekend is 100% on the table. I know CeeDee Lamb is not playing for Dallas, but Cooper Rush has been playing decent the last couple weeks, and I'm telling you right now, the Cowboys' defense is legitimately scary right now. Micah Parsons, over the last month or so of the season, has played like arguably the best player in the NFL. He has been he's pissed that they're not in the playoffs, and angry, pissed off Micah Parsons is apparently a monster. So since he got back, their pass rush is like playing at a super elite level, and it's very much looking like Kenny Pickett is going to start in Week 17 against Micah Parsons and this Dallas defense. And again, Saquon could have a day. If I was Kellen Moore, I would just hand the ball off to Saquon 30 times. I would minimize the amount that Kenny Pickett's doing. I would hope that my defense can cause a turnover or two against Cooper Rush and a pretty toothless Cowboys offense. But we'll see. But if that happens, still don't get your hopes up because the Eagles have the Giants in Week 18.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, man. It seems so far-fetched, but then you got to keep in mind the Giants really, really stink.
They're so terrible. Absolutely god-awful. And I don't really see how they lose the Eagles in Week 18. But then again, they fell apart at the end of last year. And, like, Sirianni's kind of a hothead. You saw him, whatever happened with Zach Ertz after the game. Like, there was just something with this team. And so I tend to think that the Commanders probably are in too big of a hole. I doubt that they're going to wind up winning this game. I doubt they're going to wind up winning this division. But if they did, they would leapfrog all the way up to the 2 seed. And they would host a playoff game against
somebody in the NFC West.
No. The Eagles. Wouldn't it be?
No, the Eagles won't be a 7 seed.
If the Eagles if the Eagles lose out.
They'll have 5 losses, so they'll be...
Which is where the Commanders are right now in the 7 seed.
Oh, we do have...
So there is a chance that the Eagles and the Commanders would flip places. Now, there's also a chance, depending on what happens with Green Bay and all the other scenarios we just said, that it could wind up being the Packers as the 7 seed, and the Eagles would leapfrog them. But if the Commanders wind up winning the division, the Eagles have already clinched a playoff spot. They just haven't clinched the division. So the 7 teams would be the 3 NFC North teams, the Eagles, the Commanders, and then the other 2 division winners. So be your South and your West winners. So
Man.
that's how wacky that would be. Can you imagine if
we're going to
rematch
the
in
division.
Landover, wild card weekend, Eagles Commanders Part 3, except for the Commanders are hosting it?
Oh, I'll be at that game then, correct?
Yeah, which we all know that's a good thing.
This is the Hoffman Show on the Team 980 and the Odyssey app.